Welcome to writingalong.com, number one resource for everything authentic writer's development. As always, in this Writing 101 guide, I'm really going to be promoting this. Check it out, completely free. Here's your daily reminder: write your book because you can. So, everything about today is just going to be outlining. Like, where do I really start with an outline? Do I need one? Is it necessary? And if so, how do I really proceed with it? What am I really gonna? How am I gonna use it and implement it? I don't just want to make it so it looks nice. It's common knowledge too. A lot of people talk about it, and you could deduce it on your own. I mean, come on, you're not publishing your outline, so it doesn't have to be exquisite. It doesn't have to be traditional in any sense. My outlines look like post-it notes scattered around various rooms in various places. And when I needed to reference it, I'd have to go and look for them and a whole scavenger hunt to find them. I don't recommend that. That's just the way I did it without really thinking about it. And guess what? It worked. It's worked once. It's worked twice. It's working again. And I really use that anecdote just to help you. If that's the standard, if you have to start from there and build yourself up to something a little more organized. Maybe they're all in the same room. Maybe they're all in the same house. That within 30 miles of each other, pieces of your outline, you're already steps ahead of me, and you're gonna have something that can work, something that can really work and assist you in writing and just complement your writing process. And that's all it is. If something that doesn't really if something doesn't align with how you normally do things, it's just going to get in the way, because outlining isn't that, like, it's not that important is what I'm saying. Like, your best ideas are always going to come to you in the middle of the book while you're actually writing it. And that's just how your brain works. I don't know the neuroscience of it, right? As somebody, if you know, go ahead and comment. The way your neural pathways connect to each other when you're in the active creation process and your ideas are becoming words. It just so happens certain connections are made, like, again, anecdotally, but it's real. It's like little lightning bolts that just zap from one unknown location or area in your brain to another place, to your hand or however you're writing, and you'll just get these ideas. And that's where outlining is. It doesn't need, like, put less pressure on what outlining is and what it needs to be, because it's not going to be the defining factor of your book, of your stories. It's just kind of something to look at now and then, to just reference, like, oh, which direction am I going in? Oh yeah, I'm going here. And that's one of the most important parts. I do go over this in the guide, the How to Write Your Book in 30 Days guide, but in video and conversation form, there's this is also important too. You can use both of them. I'd suggest using both of them together. With your outline, you're gonna establish a flow of narrative events. And one of the most important things about any story, any video, content, information, anything you're hearing, is usually it has a point. Now, even really, especially on the platform of, let's say, YouTube or the podcast world, yeah, there's a lot of pointless stuff out there technically, right? Like, it doesn't really provide much. You can say the same thing about all kinds of forms of entertainment, but guess what? Maybe their point is that they pass the time, and because of that, they keep and engage the reader and the watcher in certain ways. And they had a point, even if it's not very clear, even if it's not very obvious. It's not something that you can just point at and be like, oh, cool. Point at, but and it's always something. Okay, it's not always a thesis, but it has a purpose. And with your stories, you want to have a point. Your readers are really gonna appreciate the fact that you're writing towards something. If they wanted to just find something directionless and nothingness, they would just look into their own minds, and that's just their own idle thoughts bouncing off the walls. You've got to. It doesn't have to be extravagantly or exceptionally meaningful either. Your stories don't have to. And again, less pressure on yourself. A really recurring theme here. You want to have as little pressure on yourself as you need. You don't want to put more. You don't want to put additional when you never really needed it, because it holds you back. It gets in the way of your writing. And again, with an outline, just establish with it that you're going somewhere. You started here and you're moving there, or if you're moving there, you're moving there. You know, there's some kind of path being taken, and that could just be waking up in the morning. It doesn't. It could be trying to find your keys in the. You know, like you can do something a little more than that. Please do something a little more than that. But if you don't, it's okay. It doesn't matter. All your readers are looking for is this, and that. You know, it went from one place to another. And your outline, again, is just your guide. It's like your friend when you're writing. You're like, oh, where are we at again? Where are we heading to again? Wow, I really kind of veered off here, but where are we? What's the purpose? And then you go, oh, okay, that's where we're going. We're heading towards this. And everything else follows along, as a lot of this stuff does. And if you're looking for some kind of outline for your, you know, I'm going to give you the simplest one ever right now, okay? It's not complicated. Beginning, middle, end. And write little bullet points underneath each one. Write it in the Notes app on your phone. Write it in a notepad.exe or WordPad, you know. Text edit, you know. I don't care where you write it. It doesn't matter. The point is, get it down. Get a few bullet points, sentences. Again, whatever aligns with how you like to do things. If you want, do a really visual, color-coded 10-page outline in a fancy notebook if you'd like. Is that what you want to do? Do it. You don't want to do that? Don't do it. Simple as that. Like, do what you want here with writing. And a lot of this writing along content, it comes from a certain place that a lot of institutional teachers can't say this stuff because they have a curriculum to abide by. They have certain things they have to give you and you have to do. It's like a little, check boxes and that kind of thing. No matter how great your professor or teacher is or something like that, usually if they're on a payroll from something above them, the people above them don't necessarily understand what they're doing, or like what the core of it is. They can't juggle all that stuff. So you're not going to hear in many places you don't need an outline. An outline doesn't matter. Instead, usually you're just going to get like these very set in stone pieces of paper that you got to fill out. You got to write stuff underneath. And it's just kind of annoying and tedious, and you try to get into grooves with it, but really it just doesn't feel natural. Because it can't. You can't have something so universal for so many different minds, for so many different people. And if you've heard that kind of stuff in the past, like, oh, you need this strict MLA Oxford, all this stuff type of outline, you don't. You don't need it. Take it from someone who didn't need it. Take it from a writer. Take it from other writers. I said this before, and it's really important, okay? These rules, these kinds of rules, it's not just me, okay? It's not just David from Writing Along giving you all this stuff. No. Or challenging all these things. These traditionally held beliefs about writing. Writing has existed much longer. If you're going to remember anything from this, remember this. Writing has existed much longer as an art, as a craft, than any rules about it have. Anything you've been told, or even for the past 300 years, if it's some rule that was supposed to be followed, guess what? Writing has been around longer. And effective writing has been around even longer than that. So those rules sometimes are important to just kind of toss to the side. Know about them, yeah, if you want. It does help sometimes to know what you're breaking. But this isn't a video strictly on rule breaking in general. It's just about breaking the tradition of an outline and what's necessary and what's not. You could have an elegant outline that's like 3 sentences. Again, beginning, middle, end. They don't even have to be complete sentences. You can just use backslashes and incorrect punctuation, just all kinds of spaces everywhere, symbols, whatever you want. Do what you want with your outline. That's the primary key here. It's not that important what it looks like. In fact, if you're outlining a book, a story, mostly a book, but I mean, come on, a story too. It With a story, it's a little less of a scare, less frightening, because it could just be a couple of pages, could just be a short story we're talking about. But a book, I mean, hundreds of pages, definitely upward of 100 pages. How is beginning, middle, and end going to get you there? How is that even possible? Is that like, where do you? It really comes from, again, trusting that your brain can do it, and kind of establishing that relationship with yourself, with your writer self. It's not a separate person. It's not a separate entity. Oh, let me switch from regular me to writing me. No, it's the same. And when you understand that, this kind of stuff with outlines, it becomes self-evident. It solves itself. Just trust me on this, okay? I'm saying all this just because I want to make things as easy for you as possible, and not anything more than that. When you start cutting off too much, then you lose content. Then the advice kind of loses its real sting and purpose. That's why these videos aren't exactly 5 seconds long. Oh, you don't need an outline. Good luck. No, like that would be pretty awful to do to you guys. You guys and girls writing, write your book and just trust that it's going to happen. The words are going to show. They're going to show up. You show up and the words show up. The outline is there to be your friend. All right, so as always, how to write a book in 30 days as your 10-part guide written just for you. Grab your free copy. It's really going to help you out. All right, I'll see you on the next episode. Great seeing you.